Some of you are buffered from that. You've credit, where you had a good start, where you got rich parents, or you just happen to run into the right person at the right time and get a pretty decent payout. With me, people keep telling me what it is that I owe them, and then they tell me nobody owes me anything. Well, what is it that makes the rules different for me than it does for them? It's kind of like there are many Christians who tell me I just need to let it go, but then they don't want to let anything go themselves. If it's not what they want to talk about, they don't want to hear it. Well, that's not just a religious thing, that's an everybody thing. Everybody's favorite hobby is talking about themselves. And in small towns, of course, talking about everybody else. Not much else to do there. Now, there was some ladies back there that were, well, they were there earlier, but they're not there now. But they were standing for a cause. Their explanation is that it's not just about abortion, it's about rape and incest and the long-term effects of that. About how they don't get to decide. Other people get to decide for them. Now here, we're not making a connection, though, that those who are deemed mentally ill, that could be anything from depression. You get depression from not getting straight A's in school. You can also get depression because your grandma died, your wife died, your husband died. You can also get chemical imbalances from drug use that'll make you depressed. But being depressed does not make you a bad person. It also doesn't mean when you are victimized that you can't be victimized. Matter of fact, that depression increases your chance of being victimized. It also increases your chance of being blown off by everyone. They'll give you token help. And y'all know what that is. It's not real help. It's, oh, you just need to love yourself. Bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. This too shall pass. Give it to God. Man, I've heard all of them. The fact is, nothing changes unless you actively make it change. Like, one of the biggest group of whiners in this country is parents, which is sad because parents are the largest group of voters in America. The largest. There is no larger group of voting population than parents. So where's the problem? Well, the problem is these parents aren't standing together. Each one of them's excuses for not helping out the next guy with kids is that they got kids of their own to worry about. Then when they got their kids of their own that are going through the same thing, they go, hey, why won't anybody help me? Well, because it's none of their business. Isn't that what you told them? It's none of your business. Mind your business. It's kind of like that lady Caroline Diamond. She got a YouTube channel, and her show is pretty popular. But at the end of her show, after talking trash on everybody and their mama, she wants to say, and mind your business. And mind your business. This is a Southern thing. It's, well, just a fancy way of blowing you off. She doesn't mind her business through any of it, but she wants to tell everybody to mind their business and then claims that she's minding her business, and not a single one of her shows is about her. It's crazy. And there's all these victims that I know that then they got back together with their predators, or their predator had something over their head. So then the next thing you know, this person who was a horrible monster, they're telling you how it wasn't really that big of a thing, how it really didn't happen that way, how they overreacted. And this is something, well, a lot to do with the honeymoon period. When somebody is victimized and they get lonely and their predator says they'll take them back, it's always sweet, isn't it? It's all, oh, I love you, I'll never do it again, I'll never do it again. And you get about 2 to 3 weeks worth of sweetheart, if you're lucky, before the monster comes out again. We also get to see that there's a lot of male victims. There are a lot. Go ahead, folks.
Is that like a small step here?
Now I'm walking down the street, of course, want to make sure that I keep everything PG for the kids when they walk by. But really, what I see as an issue is you guys training your children from when they're children, from their wee little. You put them in that bubble and you tell them the world is the way that it's not.
That is a very good.
You shelter them from an education and from actual facts, and you sell them your wives' tales. And then, of course, you see a homeless person and you walk right by them like they don't exist, but you got to have your Louis Vuitton. You have to have your Louis Vuitton. Meanwhile, most of America, they can't afford Louis Vuitton. They're just trying to get a leg up. They can't get a leg up because they don't give a leg up to anybody else, so nobody works together. And that's where the family dynamic comes in. Everybody I know in Nebraska, they want to complain about blacks and Mexicans, especially Mexicans, because they want to claim that Mexicans are taking all their damn jobs. There ain't no blacks or Mexicans in Chapel, Nebraska for a reason. I come to Hood River just like anywhere else. It's the minorities who help me out more than anybody else. White people snub their nose at me. Hello. But then I get to see the family dynamic. I get to see who's out and about walking. There's a Hispanic family. There's 5 or 6 people there. You see a white family. It's usually 1 or 2 people, maybe 3. It's the fact that, communally and culturally, Hispanic people work together. And that is the only way to make a society like this work. Literally, the only way to make capitalism work is to work together. Now, when you're poor, you don't get those benefits. Those benefits that, well, upper middle class white girls get, especially if they're pretty blonde haired and blue eyed. Lo and behold, you better have family that cares. What happens when you don't? You end up where a lot of white folks in America have ended up. Either broke from the start and fighting for something, anything at all, searching through change machines, try to find quarters, get something to drink, or they got this credit thing and they have to overstretch their credit because this system is set up for 3 people to have to work together. If you're starting off, it's going to take 3 of you. In the late 90s, it would have taken, well, a little over 1 person working full time in order to almost keep a roof over your head. By 2005, it took 2 jobs, 2 full-time jobs to keep that roof over your head. Of course, back when my dad was growing up, 1 person with one of them full-time jobs was enough to take care of the family and pay the bills. Boy, things have changed, ain't they? A lot of folks want to blame that on the Vietnam War. It ain't Vietnam that done that. Oh my God. I just found 2 broken things that I know how to fix. Blam! I have to have them. I'm going to go get my car and I'm going to come grab these. I'm good at fixing shit. No, I'm no Anakin Skywalker. Anyway, the issue that made me really pull this up is those women, they're all older women, and all of them have friends or family who have been through this. Just from the female side. Well, it's tough to work together with people who tell you, well, everything is conflicting, of course. When you're hearing my body, my choice, you need to stay out of it. And then we're hearing, hey, you need to get involved. It's not okay to treat people like this. And I'm going, hey, look at the homeless. Look at those who are called mentally ill. Look at the most victimized people in the country. Look at the women who are being raped and beaten the most. They're all on the streets. Of Ground Coffee Roasters and Cafe. The folks here are actually pretty nice. Anyway, I think I'm gonna get up to my car. I got 3 rolls of 10 foot by 25 foot, 3.5 mil see-through plastic. I got some water resistant tape, some waterproof tape, a bunch of packing tape, some spray foam, and I got myself a date with the woods. So I got everything I need to make myself a small shelter to survive in while I set up the plastic so that I can fill it with grass and different lightweight materials, and of course spray foam. And then I'll see if I can make it fold up, that way I can avoid the logs. If I run into the logs, I'll just fold it up and walk away with it. Of course, that sounds crazy, doesn't it? Well, it's not as crazy as the other idea I had. You know what animatronics are, you know what transformers are. So, as long as you do the math right, you can make yourself an artificial leather jacket and actually have it wrap around you using a pull cord. You use the pull cord and it'll make you look like a dinosaur. But I like the idea of looking like a real dinosaur. I even went down to Walmart and checked out the cost of the artificial alligator leather that I would need, and started looking for a feather vendor so that I could get mass quantities of feathers. And I gotta tell you, something like that with man-made materials, we're talking about several $1,000s. So what I'd really need to do is go out into the woods, figure out which plants look the most like feathers, and do some of that preparation work in order to make them so that they're sustainable, so they look right, and so on. People have gotten completely away from nature, though. They don't realize that there's so much in nature that'll help. There's simple stuff that you learn from living in the system and on the streets that most people will never figure out. Like starches. If you need glue, use starch. I don't mean cornstarch, although cornstarch will work. I mean, you could use oatmeal, you could use cream of wheat, any of them cereals that are cooked, just mash them into a paste. You got yourself some glue. I made myself a couple of books that way while I was locked up. I actually still have one of them. It's also got a lot of my studies in it. I want to show you something across the street here. That there, that's all blackberries. If you live inside of that blackberry bush, which also does sound crazy, but if you live inside of a blackberry bush, because of all the thorns, nobody and nothing is going to want to come in there and bother you unless it slithers on its belly. So, that's where preparedness comes in handy. A lot of the stuff that you guys know how to do conceptually, you watched it on the Discovery Channel or you watched it on the History Channel, and you think to yourself, yeah, I could do that. Well, then there's the matter of where, if you don't have a place to do it. There's also the matter of a lot of people never try. They never do anything in their lives because they never try. It's crazy, isn't it? That's a problem with most of the people who offered to help me. They never actually tried. The help I needed from the very start was people to look at evidence and help me turn it in. And now here I am thinking about making a plastic boat. Well, plastic and styrofoam and tape boat. And seeing if I can get the hell out of here. Now, while I'm at it, I have actually done a shopping list of the local materials here, local foliage and whatnot. If I'm able to make the boat, it'll definitely hold on to the 20 or so pounds worth of materials that I'll need. Now it'll probably end up being over 20 pounds, but that's one of the things about natural materials. When you cast something, you're usually casting something that's reasonably solid. Whereas in nature, as soon as stuff dries out, it's all hollow. Every one of those cells becomes hollow. Sure, they're held together a little bit by the cellulose within them, but I mean, basically they're dry. And we've got a few different plants here that I don't know the name of. There's one of the trees here that if I was to take I don't know, it's probably about a 21-inch frond off of it. That's all the longer they'll grow in most places. But if I take two of those fronds together and I interweave the leaves properly, it'll look like the tail of an Archaeopteryx, which is a pretty cool flying dinosaur. It's actually considered the very first bird, despite the fact that it had teeth. Matter of fact, birds are dinosaurs. That's why we make the distinction now of dinosaurs versus non-avian dinosaurs. But it's people's lack of education here, lack of give a fuck, and lack of take a look that is ending us up in a severely screwed up state. People would rather hate Mexicans and hate black people and hate the disabled than actually do something to find out about our situations. Instead, they want to push laws because of forced numbers. You know what forced numbers are, right? You force somebody into a desperate situation, they're going to do something desperate. Nature of the beast, survival. Then they're the bad guy, ain't they? It's a good trick. It's a dirty trick. Anyway, there's some stuff I wanted to say that was pretty important. And there's a lady I've known for a lot of years named Tammy Mencher. Has her own words to say, and I do believe that she should have the right. So I got a message from her right as I was starting this video. I'm going to read it. She does deserve the right to speak. She does deserve the right to defend herself, especially on my channel. There are some people that don't because they're bullshitters, but Tammy, she's putting kind of half and half in there. Half what she's saying is the truth, and half of it seems to be a misunderstanding. Maybe it is, maybe it ain't. We'll find out. In either event, I am a reasonable individual, contrary to popular belief. And I don't mind listening to her side or taking a look at her side. I also understand the victim mentality of when you're trying to keep the peace, and if that means, well, pretending that a particular situation did not happen, sometimes victims will do something extremely stupid and pretend that the dude who fucked them up wasn't really fucking them up. It was just a misunderstanding. And that seems to be what Tammy is experiencing now. She told me some things about that situation that she may have only said those things to try to keep the peace in the situation, but the fuzzy ain't having it. If he caught her alone in an alley, he might kill her. And I think she probably gets that now. Ah! A broken arrow shaft. Ah. Wonder where the rest of it is. Ooh, and some extends. I found some penis pills. Natural male enhancement, and it hasn't even been opened. Big cherry flavor. Wow, I'm gonna take these with me. As if I could be any bigger of a dick than I already am. Alright, so you know how we end these things. Good to be rid of you. Thanks for coming to visit. stay out of trouble or don't get caught. Remember, you are your brother's keeper and no victim left behind. Oh, wow, that is a cool rock. Oh! All right. Enough hippie shit. I'm out.